You can be seated. Thank you for your worship. We do think that he is the name above names. Jesus stands behind me boldly because Jesus is who we want to proclaim boldly. And so I'm so grateful for you being here and worshiping that powerful name with us on this Friendsgiving as we celebrate the incredible gift of friendship. And it is a powerful gift. Now, I was a little concerned that if we didn't have any friends here, I'd have to do a different opener. But I'm grateful that we have friends here, and we can say to you, thank you for adding to and enhancing our celebration. You are a part of what we are celebrating. The people that God has brought into our life to be friends to us and the gift that that is. We will literally, here in a few moments, we will gather around a table outside and eat heartily. We will enjoy the breaking of bread together with one another. But for a few minutes in here, we're going to figuratively gather around the family table in the house of God and eat the bread of life that God gives us in His Word together. So as we do that, we want to focus on the greatness of God's love for us. It is phenomenal. Look at this, John 15:13. Look at this verse with me. No one has greater love than this, to lay down his life for his friends. Now that's a very powerful statement, one that's been said many times, one that many people will know about. What's missed in this statement sometimes, the greater aspect of this line, is not the laying down of life, but that Jesus, the Son of God incarnate, who is walking on this earth as a man, is addressing it to people and saying, you are my friend. It's phenomenal that the God of gods, the Lord of lords, the King of kings, descended down into earth to become amongst us so that he might proclaim to us that we are his friends. That line from Jesus is powerful. Do not miss it in what he is saying to you. He is saying to you that you have an opportunity to have friendship with the creator of the universe. Now the line that's before it, no one has greater love than this, to lay down his life. To lay down his life. That makes it even more powerful. That the Lord God Almighty, who is the creator, is making the statement about how significant it is to lay down one's life for their friends. You know, this is not a concept that will be lost on us. If you are at all a moviegoer like me, if you enjoy movies, you know that this concept is riddled in movies. It comes everywhere. I'm going to allow you to be a part of the message right now. I'm competing against Winnie the Pooh, so I need some help here. Tell me, where in movies do they portray this concept of someone laying down their life for their friends? When in one of your movies is a scene that you know that's one of your favorite places where they show someone laying down their lives for their friends? Frodo, who's sacrificing, giving. Lord of the Rings lover right there. Very good. What else? Band of Brothers. Here we go. Now we're going from the Frodo, Lord of Rings world to the military world, but have the same thing. In the military world, one of the favorite ones I love is Saving Private Ryan, where they all are working hard and laying down themselves for Private Ryan. Where else? You're going to have to help me a little, Spider-Man. Oh, they're all mad at me. Did you hear that? They were incensed that I didn't quite know that one there. I apologize for not knowing the Spider-Man. What do we got? What does he do?
He loses his life so that his friends can go on. They forget about him.
Oh, that's right. I remember now. You're right. He sacrificed. Thank you. Thank you for that. Spider-Man fits right in there. On the Marvel world, I'm more in the Iron Man, in the end of everything with Thanos. When he has all those on his things and says, I am Iron Man, knowing that by snapping it, it is the one and only way for victory, for them to be victorious, and in it, it will cost him his life. He lays down his life. They're filled with it. The Quiet Place movie has a very emotional one. Very emotional if you've seen that. Where the whole story in the movie has been set up of this tension between the daddy and his daughter because of an event that happened early in the movie. And there's this tension where she constantly feels like she is not loved by him, not welcomed by him, not accepted by him. She feels that tension. And she's deaf. And in the moment, he is standing there, both while the beasts from death are upon his children, and they're upon his daughter, and they're fixing to consume them. And he stops for a moment and connects with his daughter and looks at her and sees her face and catches her eyes and says, I love you. Before he screams loudly, because the monsters are motivated by sound, so that they might attack and destroy him and consume him, and they might be free. It choked me up. I'm crying right now. They're littered throughout. And they're littered out there everywhere. You will see them repetitively. They come up in movies repetitively. And I want you to know there's a reason for that. When we're talking today, we're talking about Jesus, and we say that no one has greater love than this, than to lay down his life for his friends, because it's what Jesus did. It's what the cross of Calvary is all about. It's the cross of Calvary is where God looked at those who he has created, and there was this separation and this distance that was caused because of our actions, because of our unwillingness to live, and because of who we were and our nature. And there was a gap that was created where we can never enjoy fellowship with God the Father. And because of that, he looked and saw, and motivated by such great love, he sent Jesus to live on this world, to walk, to live in the sinfulness that we cannot manage, so that he could manage it. And he sent him to die on the cross of Calvary to pay the price for our sins. And then he rose from the grave to bring victory to us. He is living that out. The reason why it is flooded in movies is not that Jesus is grabbing into the same story. God is the center of all stories. The reason they exist, the reason we love watching them, is because God is desperately trying to communicate the truth to us of what he has done for us. In our hearts, in our core, in here, we know this truth. We know that it exists, and we recognize and understand it. It motivates us. It moves us. It causes us to get emotional and cry and hide in the theater so no one knows you're a big crybaby. But it causes us to do all these things because it is written on our heart that we need the action of Jesus Christ in our lives so that we can experience the closeness with him. Oh, it's so great. Jesus comes in not just to save us because we are separated from him, but in John 10:10, he lets us know what he's trying to do for us. He tells us that he sacrificed, John 10:10. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come so that they might have life and have it in abundance. Oh, Jesus is so good. He doesn't just come in to give an offer to you away from death and destruction. He comes in to offer you an abundant life. Now, believer, may I tell you that sometimes we get confused on what this abundance is. For those of you who have put your faith and trust in Jesus especially, I want you to hear this note. We think that the abundance is everything that Jesus can do for us. Everything that he can give to us. But the abundant life is Jesus. He is the source of the abundant life. He is what causes abundance in you. It is his presence in your life that brings abundance. Oh, thank the Lord that he brings goodness with it to us as well. But the abundance is him. The abundance is the opportunity to have a friendship and a relationship with God the Father in a closeness to the one who created us. It is the abundance. Listen to this quote by C.S. Lewis. It says, friendship is unnecessary, like philosophy, like art. It has no survival value. Rather, it is one of those things which give value to survival. That's the truth about Jesus, is that he brings value to the survival. He becomes the greatest friend because he is necessary for our survival and brings value to our survival. That is how great of a friend Jesus is. And Jesus modeled for us friendship. He modeled it for us. He showed us. He showed us what it was like. And then he comes and calls upon us to live our lives in a way that exudes that friendliness to others. He comes and asks for us to live it. When he tells us to love the Lord your God with all your strength, with all your heart, with all your soul, and to love your neighbor as yourself, he's telling us to live out the friendship. Proverbs 17:17 tells us this: a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for difficulties. What a hard reality that God has asked from us, to love at all times. He has asked us to remember and see what he has done for us, the depth and scope of his friendship, and for ours to flow back out at all times. It is a difficult thing to do, and it is the way that we most emulate Jesus, when we demonstrate friendship to others at all times and in all circumstances. Now, I want you to know sometimes that's hard, and sometimes the people that we are called to love are hard to love. I know some of the friends that invited you here. Kudos to you for loving on them. Sometimes it's difficult. I can remember getting in a fight with my friend whom when I was in eighth grade, and uncool, chili bowl haircut, scrawny little boy, uncool, unworthy of anything, new to the school, brand new to the school, walking up to a new place. I was not charismatic. I was not friendly, outgoing. I wasn't anything. I'm walking up there, and I'm scared as all get out, walking up the little steps. My wife will remember him because she was there too, and that school, but walking up the pathway up to it, and like, what am I going to do? I don't know anybody. And there stood this long, lanky little boy. That wasn't a little boy then. He was tall. He was tall and lanky and long, and he had the audacity to say to me, "Hello." That's all it took. I said, "Hello. I'm going to stand by you. You at least are not going to consume me. You at least are kind." And I came and stood by him. His name is Tony Lehu, and he has been my friend ever since that day and still is. And all he did was say, "Hello." But I loved on him. Do you know that friend who's been a friend for a long time, in our senior year, we almost came to fisticuffs. We almost were fighting because we were laying in our bed at the Washington, D.C. senior trip, and we were arguing over whose foot was blocking the TV. Wanting to be able to leave the foot up, need the foot down. We're finding out we're almost coming to blows. It's because sometimes it is difficult. It's difficult to love people. It's difficult to give what we have to give. It's difficult on it. And sometimes when we look at them, they seem unworthy of it. But what impact we make when we are able to step outside of ourselves, when we are able to step beyond it and do like Jesus did, where he was present with those who did not deserve it, where he was filled with grace for those who did not deserve it, where he was filled with kindness for those who did not deserve it. He modeled it for us. He demonstrated it for us, and he has asked us to do it to others. He has asked us to demonstrate his great love of friendship. How will they know if we do not go out and live it in a way that we can say? He's called for us to do that. I want you to know, if you're here today, very, very important to me that everybody in here today knows this truth. You are not alone. You are not alone. No matter how difficult it may feel, no matter how much weight you feel, no matter how much the enemy is trying to convince you that nobody loves you, nobody cares for you, nobody's interested in you, nobody has called you, nobody has thought of you, nobody's asked about you, nobody's inquired from you, nobody's loved on you, nobody's given to you, no matter how much he tries to show you what they've done for everybody else. Look at what they did for them. Look at how they shared with them. Look at how they loved on them. Look at how much they called for them. They don't love you. It's not true. The enemy is trying to sell you a lie. He's trying to convince you that you are alone, because when we are alone, we are vulnerable. We are vulnerable. When we are united together, we are strong. We have the power and the presence of the living God inside of us, and we come alongside in that shared mission and goal. You know, Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver were good friends. Both those names you may be aware of. Tuskegee and Carver, who's called the inventor of peanut butter. He did not invent peanut butter, by the way. Just when you look at that, I'm not saying he invented peanut butter, but he did a whole lot of things. And the two of them teamed up together, and they had a shared goal and mission that they wanted to accomplish, and they strengthened one another for it. That is why we celebrate friendship here at Marsh Lane. We celebrate it because we know that God has given us each other to come alongside one another, to strengthen us in the shared mission of bringing honor and glory to the one and only Son, Jesus Christ. That's our mission. And we're grateful that you're here today to celebrate it with us. And every part of our heart wants you to know that Jesus loves you, he died for you, he cares for you, and he is offering you the greatest gift, himself, which brings the abundant life. But I know that the enemy will be working against you. I'm going to ask every head bowed and every eye closed. We're fixing to sing a song. And I want you to know that there's an invitation where Jesus is telling you that he wants to be your friend. He desires for it, and his friendship brings the abundant life. But some of you may be sitting here and you may be confused about what that means, how that looks like, and how do I get Jesus to be my friend? When we are singing in just a moment, it is the opportunity for you to find those answers. They'll be up front. Lindsay and Pastor John will be up front. In the back will be Carol and Johnny, and they are eager and ready to be able to share with you the truth of how you can have Jesus as your friend, how that gift that God has given can be available for you. And I know that the enemy will begin to work in your mind right now, saying that it's not you. It's not you he's talking about. It's not you that's offering that gift. It's not you that's available for. They don't know you. They don't know what you've done. They don't know who you are. They don't know. If they knew, they wouldn't be offering you this gift. And I want you to know that's a lie. That's a lie. We don't care what you've done. We don't care because we know what we've done. We care more about the good work that Christ has done in our life and transformed and changed us. And we just want you to be able to have that gift as well. We want it to be free. I promise nobody in here will condemn you, will judge you, will think bad of you. We will celebrate in the way that the Spirit of God has worked for you. If he is speaking to you, if God is drawing you to be his friend, today is the day for you to walk through what that looks like. And we are here ready to share that for you. But for those of you who know Jesus as friend, perhaps you have been missing out on what the greatest gift of Jesus is, the abundant life that is him, and you simply need to relish in the goodness of Jesus for a little bit. Or perhaps you've been keeping it to yourself. You've been unwilling to live a life that goes out and shows friendship to others so that they can know who Jesus is. The altar is open for you right here to come and have your moment with God the Father and with Jesus so that you can respond as the Spirit is drawing you.